Hey, fellas, this is Coach Moreland. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why I coach. Um, my whole life, I've been pretty blessed in the aspect of having some positive male role models in my life from the time that I started playing ball at the boys' club in Fort Smith, whether it was football, basketball, baseball, whatever it might have been at that time or the season, all the way up through high school athletics. I had some real positive male role models in my life, and they were all coaches. And at the Boys and Girls Club in Fort Smith, of course, they were all volunteers. They didn't get paid to do it. They volunteered their time. They all had actual careers, all right, or lives outside of the Boys and Girls Club, but they were great role models. Like I said, I was blessed with some people. I could name drop some people, but that's not very important in that aspect. But one of them, really, when I was 14 and 15 years old, that kind of got me into wanting to be a coach was I had a baseball coach at that age level there at the Boys and Girls Club, and his name was Tim Cook. And Tim's son was the catcher for the Razorbacks, Grant Cook. If you guys remember him, College World Series team, of course, Grant started before that and was drafted very high by the Pittsburgh Pirates and played at Fayetteville. Well, Grant Cook was Tim's son. But Tim was a phenomenal male role model in my life at that time before going into high school. And he really kind of showed me what it was kind of like to be a coach. He showed tough love, but he showed compassion. He showed a lot of love. He showed care, as well as really getting into me whenever it was time to get into me. And plus, he did a lot of things for me, whether it was rides or just throwing extra batting practice, whatever it might have been at that time. All right. So that really kind of got into me at that time of wanting to be a coach. All right. And then whenever I turned 16, baseball wise, especially, I played for a guy by the name of Bill Breedlove. Well, Coach Breedlove was not only did he coach the Legion team at Fort Smith, but he was the first head baseball coach at Northside, which was our rival school, and he also coached football at Northside. But Coach Breedlove was a very influential person in me becoming a coach because he kind of kept planting more and more seeds because he was kind of the same way. But Coach Breedlove was just a man that was always there for his players. He was always there whenever you needed somebody to talk to. And it didn't matter that I went to Southside at the time and he coached at Northside. Where you went to school was irrelevant. He was all about kids. And so that really helped, kind of broaden my horizon about being a coach and trying to be there for players. All right. And then probably lastly was the coaching staff that I had at Southside High School. When I went to school there and from my sophomore to senior year, I had some of the best coaches that there were in the state at that time. And like I said, I was truly blessed, truly honored to be part of that program. And definitely thought myself being lucky to be able to play for the coaches that I played for. From Coach Lunny to Coach James Limley to Coach Ronnie Bateman to Coach Don Hart. Those men really molded me as a man and kind of showed me not only the game of football, but also showed me and taught me a lot about the game of life. All right. And those men were extremely influential in my life. All right. Coach Loney, of course, one of the most successful high school football coaches in the state of Arkansas and the state of Arkansas history. all right, to James Lemley, who's probably one of the greatest offensive line coaches at that time. Don Hart, one of the best defense coordinators and defensive line coaches. And Coach Bateman, of course, was an unbelievable linebacker coach at that time. And I mentioned Coach Bateman because a lot of you probably know his granddaughters as the Combs sisters, Lyndon Combs and her younger sister. But those men had a great influence on my life when it came to football and sports and school and everything. They really kind of showed me how you do this, though you learn every day when you're coaching, when it deals with you guys. I couldn't thank them enough. All right. When I got to college, of course, it was a completely different game. It became more of a business. All right. And there was a couple, of course, coaches that I liked, but nothing that like I had in high school. And probably the last person before all this that really, kind of solidified things of me being a coach and just being there for kids and teaching you about life in general was my stepfather. My stepfather was a volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club in Fort Smith for, 30 to 40 years. All right. He has been at every level of Babe Ruth baseball, as far as a district commissioner, state commissioner, to regional commissioner. And of course, now he's the, board of directors of Babe Ruth baseball. So he's on the board, he's the executor of it all. But he spent all his years volunteer coaching in the Boys and Girls Club. And so when I was younger and of course wanted to get into coaching, we talked a lot about coaching. And he really helped kind of make that decision for me because he was a coach himself. And plus he was a basketball official and a football official for over 30-something years. And so he knew all kinds of coaches, and he'd name drop all these people that I didn't even know anything about. But being able to talk coaching with him was, a really cool thing and something that was very important to me. All right. So that's kind of the reason I became a coach. And obviously the game of football gave so much to me that I wanted to give back as well in that. But guys, I love trying to be a positive influence in each one of your lives. And I hope that in some way I am that way. Because I had those role models in mind. I know that there's been many a player come back and just from conversations and talking to me and just thanking me for things. That's not what I want. I don't need that. People always thanking me, but it does make you feel good that you've done something right, here and there. But those are a lot of the reasons why I became a coach. I love coaching. I love everything about coaching. And yes, at some point in time, it'll come to an end. And I know that. And there'll be another chapter in life. But right now, those are the main reasons why I became a coach.